Well, the report into Manx Radio is out, and we heard from Dr. Alex Allison yesterday. And this morning on Manx Radio, they rolled you out, Mr. Charles Gard, a director, and of course we've worked together for many years. Yeah. More in detail about the report, but I mean, you made some passionate appeals this morning to save Manx Radio as it is. Let's be basic here. You don't want any changes, or you feel it's running well? Help me out.
I didn't say any of that.
No, that's what I'm asking you to embellish on what you were trying to say this morning.
I will clarify that. It's not that none of us can improve what we're doing. This report and its recommendations will change Manx Radio so fundamentally, we believe it will cease to exist. So we're not fighting to say we're doing everything right. We're just fighting to still be there. Because, Paul, I've been at Manx Radio now for 40 years. Since 1977, when I first started, I've seen about 12 of these reports. And you will remember Christ King wanting to buy it, Eamon Andrews wanted to buy it, Stuart Jameson wanted to buy it. Yeah. I mean, all these things have come along and we've had to fight them all off. So I said to Dr. Allinson, is there anything new to say? Why is Manx Radio subject to these reports every 4 years? This one is different. It's not just about our funding and what we're costing. They are changing the remit of public service broadcasting. Unique in the world, our select committees decided it's going to redefine public service broadcasting and also have unacceptable political interference. Now, if that's what the public want, that's fine, but don't pretend it's public service broadcasting.
Okay. Why do you think this constantly happens? Why do the politicians want to get involved pretty well every 5 years? If it's all tickly-boo, they wouldn't be, right? Something must be amiss, that this money, the subvention money, the failing to actually live within the budgets, and the last 3 years having a deficit.
Well, living within the budget, in the last 10 years, our base cost has gone down by £80,000. What other government department could possibly claim that, even with inflation? We are well within every budget. But the Treasury did not take the recommendation to increase our subvention by inflation from the last report. They ignored it. They've pegged it still. So naturally, we're going to start making small losses. And
no, you could let programmes go. You could do shorter hours.
Yes.
You could let some of the staff go, whatever. You kind of
course
you make it sound like it is untouchable. This is Manx Radio, and we need money, and we want more of it. That's how it comes across to a lot of people.
Well, fair enough, because we have a remit. And we've discussed this with everybody, all and sundry. You say we can cut staff and we can cut programming, but then we are in breach of our licence. I don't know why people can't see this. We are obliged to do these things. And if we stop doing them because we can't afford to, we are no longer in terms with our licence.
Are you saying you have to broadcast until 1 o'clock in the morning? You couldn't just bring back to, it used to be when I was there initially, before Night Fever and all that, 7 till 7. Make it a tighter, leaner thing. Seriously, is that part of your brief? Do you have to broadcast pop music as such in the evenings and whatever else?
We probably don't.
No.
But
so you could make cuts then?
We could cut it right down till it's not worth having at all.
I don't think that's what I'm saying. I think the point is...
Well, that's what we are saying.
You could, be a leaner machine maybe.
At what point do you cut so much that the body ceases to function altogether? We're on the verge of that now. Through the night, we take a decision to have automatic broadcasting, which we hate having to do, but obviously we can't afford to pay people all the way through the night. The evening broadcasting is fairly cheap. You probably remember Victor Neal wanting us to stop, and Noel Crinkle wanting us to stop broadcasting 6 o'clock at night. What sort of public service is that for the nation? Imagine the BBC, well, they used to do it probably, switch off at 10 o'clock in the 1940s, but, we're trying to provide a proper service. And if they want to cut us right back to that, then that's what they'll decide on this.
Why are you so worried about the British Broadcasting Corporation taking over it? And is it purely the name? Because it's got British, because Jersey and Guernsey live with it. They get a free service, don't they? They get a free radio.
Well, good for them.
But do you not think that possibility is a possibility?
What are you saying? We get rid of Manx Radio and we have the BBC in to have a local radio station?
Well, I think that was one of the things that was in there, was that the BBC should take it over.
Well, unfortunately, as a Manxman, I would find that deeply offensive. We are doing a perfectly good job. They're not going to do it any better than we are. In fact, the head of England, Helen Thomas, who was over giving evidence to the committee 3 weeks ago in private, said to us afterwards, she was amazed by mandate. She said, how do you do this? How does one person do all this? How are all the videos up immediately? She said, this is a model for BBC local radio, and I'll be back to talk to you about it. So we thought, actually, there is someone out there who thinks we're doing a good job, even if it's not on the Isle of Man. So we do not want to surrender that. I do not, as a Manxman, want a BBC local radio station when we've got a perfectly good.
Yet you happily run
national
BBC content on mandate these days. I mean, in the days when we were there, it was purely Manx stuff. Now it's become much more of, if something's happening, Trump's doing something, let's run some BBC content. You don't have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with it because it's an arrangement with the BBC. We are in editorial control, and we are, like IRN, buying in. But
on a Manx station, do you think there's a place for Trump
News
and things? Well, no, on the mandate thing, because it was a Manx programme for the Manx audience.
Yes.
You can go to Radio 4 for that Trump information.
Well, you've just said it there. That's just what we don't want to happen, for heaven's sake. You know that as a broadcaster. You don't want people to have to go off to another station to get bits of news. You want to provide them with the complete package. The whole point is having them listening to you all day.
Now, you said you were very shocked about entertainment being removed on this morning's interview, right? I mean, and you gave an example, and I really want you to answer this one about if BBC One lost Strictly Come Dancing. I would love to know which programme is that good on entertainment side. Seriously, what programmes entertainment could be sliced that the public wouldn't get from other commercial broadcasters on the Isle of Man?
The point is, I don't know how it's discretionary. We haven't even thought about it. It's such a ludicrous idea.
You said it, and it was quite emotive. Yes. That Strictly Come Dancing is a big programme, and we don't accept that. And,
I was comparing us to other public service broadcasters. If they took out all their entertainment, what would be left? What would be left on Manx Radio?
Entertainment?
Well, music programmes. Alex in the Afternoon, The Breakfast Show. There's no.
That's just music programmes, and they've done elsewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, that's entertainment, and we've been told that we don't have to do that.
Other people are providing that, aren't they? I mean, the music is coming out our ears from stations up and down the world.
So what happens during those hours? We're silent, are we?
I didn't say that. I'm simply saying.
No, well, I'm asking you, what is the scenario?
But that's for you to, you're paid the money to talk about.
It's for us to ask what on earth the committee are talking about.
Music is cheap broadcasting, and you know it, and it's available anywhere.
It is entertainment.
Yes, but you're doing it. Well, okay, let's do this one. You need to keep the figures up, right? And the entertainment makes those numbers well because you've got commercials. You accept that? It's those programmes that make the audience, not the worthy programmes, are sometimes the very small audiences. So you have to provide quite a lot of entertainment to get the radar numbers you need, which has been in decline but is levelled off recently. I mean, you kind of, because you've got the advertising. Now, let's try that one. If you took out all the advertising, you wouldn't have to chase audience numbers. How's that? What do you think to that one?
Well, you've just said everything that's absolutely correct. We do entertainment because it makes people listen. We want to keep people listening as long as possible so that we can educate and inform them at the same time and entertain them.
Surely make them listen because you need the audience figures.
Well, of course, everybody needs audience figures.
But if you were in radar and you weren't having to worry, not chasing because you haven't got the commercials, we're running catch-22 here. You need audience to get the advertisers. Advertisers need audiences, right?
Yeah.
So take out part of that process, i.e. you don't chase a commercial audience, a commercial audience.
Yeah.
What do you think to that?
Well, the idea of us taking out advertising altogether, losing £1.1 million, the report at no point says where that money is going to be made up unless they go with a begging bowl to the BBC, which is another issue. Yeah. We would lose, we would disenfranchise the entire business community. We have 225 companies advertising on Manx Radio at the moment. I advertise on Manx Radio as chairman of Milltown, not because I'm a director of Manx Radio, but because it works. And it works in the newspapers, and we buy advertising there as well. It actually works. If you're going to say to all these companies, you have no platform to advertise anymore, what's going to happen?
Can I make this quite clear? You're saying you need the adverts on to help engage with the commercial people on the Isle of Man?
No, to pay for Manx Radio.
But if the adverts are taken out and all the people who are involved in making those, that would be quite a saving, would it not? I mean, you kind of have to have a machine to feed the machine.
We do, but we would still, I forget the figure, it's something like £500,000 would be remaining. Yes, we have to pay staff, I accept that, to pull in that 1.1 million, but we would still have a massive deficit, and there's no mention in this report of how that would be made up. And I feel actually, strangely, that advertising is a public service as well, because it's serving the community. You go and talk to these people and say you can't advertise on Manx Radio anymore. I mean, they're going to be shocked.
It's incredible. I mean, I do stagger to find that you actually pushing that you want adverts. If you could have it without adverts, surely that'd be a better station if you got the money from elsewhere. Are you actually advocating to keep the commercials because they are nice to have and it keeps engaging with the public, or are you saying we need it because of the money?
Well, at the moment, both of those. Actually, there's not an either or, it's both of those. But I know it's strange. I know the BBC doesn't carry advertising and people love it rather than ITV because they don't have to have the ad breaks. No, I fully understand that argument. And we have so much advertising, it does irritate some people. But don't forget that as we stand at the moment, 60% of our cost is met by our advertising and only 40% comes from government. What they require us to do in the licence is not met by the 40% that they give us. So we are open to discuss any other model they care to put forward. I'm just telling you what we do at the moment and why we do it.